Now, if you're someone who's nervous speaking in front of an audience, chances are you've already Googled this, you found some techniques. Stay positive, breathe deeply, and you might have even heard some weird ones like, picture your audience naked. Yeah, that might be a little distracting. And although I'm sure these are things that really work, here are some things that work for me personally. Public speaking can be very nerve-wracking. I remember the first time I had to speak in front of an audience, I was shaking. I would hope to God that someone would cancel, and during class presentations, I would hope that either the teacher wouldn't show up or my turn will be at the very end. Well, I found a couple of ways to overcome my fear of public speaking. Now, I'm sure you've done a lot of presentations in the past, and if you have, I just want you to ask yourself, what time during the presentation do you get nervous? Do you get nervous while you're waiting for your turn, or do you get nervous while you're actually on stage? What part of the speaking process makes you nervous? And that way we can actually narrow down what aspect makes you nervous, which aspect we want to tackle. So for example, with some of the people I've coached, what would happen is they will be completely fine when they're actually on stage in front of people, but the weight building up to their speech, just the anxiety building up, that was the problem. They couldn't deal with the nerves. For some people, it's completely the opposite. They don't care up until they see people looking at them, and then they start to shake, they start to sweat. And it's important to realize this kind of reaction is normal. So now that you've outlined which part of the public speaking process makes you nervous, now we can finally tackle it. Tony Robbins famously said, motion creates emotion. If I find myself sitting still in a chair before my presentation, all my nerves start to build up and they have nowhere to go. They're stuck in my body. So I'm usually one of those guys pacing left and right before my presentation, or if I have to sit down, my legs are always shaking. I want to keep moving, I want to keep the energy going, because if I'm really low energy, all my nervousness will be projected in my speech. Movement, that's key. And you'll hear this a lot. Practice more and you'll be fine. But I can't tell you how many public speakers I know who are competitive public speakers. They memorize the speech, they rehearse it in front of a mirror time and time again, and when it's time to deliver, they still blank out. They still get nervous. So yes, while you should practice in front of a mirror, also practice in front of your friends. Practice in front of smaller groups. Get used to pressure. Get used to eyes on you. I remember when I used to practice, I was scared of just talking to the camera. I would feel shy in my own room talking to a device. But the more pressure you put yourself through, the more used to it you get, and eventually you'll be in front of an audience of people and you won't feel nervous. So my advice is, when you rehearse, make sure you rehearse in some sort of environment that gives you some pressure. A great environment for this is Toastmasters. The purpose of the whole club is just to make you a better public speaker. Now, the most important thing that helped me overcome my fear of public speaking was a mindset. Now, I'm a very logical, rational, technical guy, and I just love hopping around the problem but never investing in the problem itself. So instead of actually practicing my public speaking, I would find ways around secrets of power presentations. Once I read this book, I'll be professional, right? Or maybe before I talk to an audience, I need to memorize the do's and taboos of public speaking. And while all these resources are great, I was using them as a barrier not to do public speaking. Not all the positive motivation in the world, all the knowledge, all the resources, all the books in the world will help you get better unless you do the thing you want to get better at. If the brain does not have the experience of doing well at something, every future opportunity to do that thing is going to be met with fear, confusion, lack of confidence. So if you've never done it before, why would your mind be excited about doing it in the future? It's like I come up to you, I give you a tennis racket, and I say, okay, go play professional tennis. Are you going to be nervous? Of course you are. You don't know how to play tennis. You've never done it before. You think you can read a couple of books and learn to play tennis? No, you can't. And that's something that took me forever to learn. If you want to get better at something, you have to do more of that thing. Start gradually. Start with smaller audiences, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Your only objective should be to get in front of people and speak. We're so good at being critical to ourselves. We evaluate our performance. Forget that. If you were in front of people, you're talking, good job. Do that enough times, you will get better. Again, I will be making a whole series on public speaking. If you have any specific questions, leave them below in the comments. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.